Debt collection lawsuits are on the rise. If you do a quick Google search, you'll see a lot of articles popping up that talk about this very subject. And if you're not careful, you might be next. So if you have a charge off, a repo, a delinquent account, that's not necessarily the problem. It's what happens afterwards. Since 2023, the filings for debt lawsuits has skyrocketed, and you have more companies, whether it's the original creditor or the debt buyer, they have tripled the number of lawsuits that they're filing. And here's the scary part: 70%, if not more, of people are losing these cases by default, not because they actually owe the money, but because they didn't show up or they didn't know how to respond. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about what's happening, why the lawsuits are increasing, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself so that you don't get caught off guard. So, during the pandemic, the lawsuits had slowed down because, well, people had stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, and the courts were closed. But now, after the pandemic, well, the courts are open. People are losing their safety nets. I mean, there's no more stimulus checks, no extra unemployment. Prices are higher. People are living off of credit cards. Credit card balances are at record levels, and people are falling behind. And then on top of that, these debt collectors are using automation and AI to file thousands of lawsuits all at once. And that's why the number of lawsuits being filed right now by companies like LVNV or Midland Credit are flooding the courts. Debt buyers buy debt for pennies on the dollar, and then they'll turn around and sue you for the full amount. The debt may have been sold two or three times beforehand, so the company suing you might not be the company that owns your debt. Well, most of the time, they're not. That's where this confusion comes in, because if you don't recognize the name or if you panic, and a lot of people do, they just freeze. And if you don't know how to fight back, well, that's exactly what they're counting on. And here's the real danger to all of this: when you don't respond, the courts almost always give the collector a default judgment. So then what happens next? Well, your paycheck can get garnished, your bank account can be frozen, they can slap a liens on your property. So ignoring a lawsuit is the worst thing you can do. So please hear me clearly. Don't ignore a lawsuit notice. So now let's talk about prevention. The best way to avoid being sued is to stop giving collectors reasons to target you. Here are some steps, my top steps. Open the mail. Stop ducking the envelopes. Open the mail and look at what's inside the mail. Make sure you stay on top of your credit reports. And I'm not talking about Credit Karma or Smart Credit or Identity IQ. Go pull your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com, because you're going to know exactly what's being reported, who owns your debt. And if you go to the soft inquiry section on your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com, you'll be able to see who's peeking at your credit report. Challenge these accounts early. Many times, debt buyers cannot prove ownership of the balance. So if you dispute before they escalate, you can stop a lawsuit in its tracks. Demand the paperwork. They need the original agreement, proof that they own the debt, and proof that the balance is correct. Communicate strategically. If you get a collection letter, you have the right to request validation. So don't admit to the debt, but make them prove it. And then watch that statute of limitations, because collectors do try to sue on expired debts. If you don't know your state statute of limitations, you may end up paying on something that they couldn't legally enforce. Document everything. So keep copies of all notices, all letters, and credit report screenshots. If things escalate, now you've got a paper trail going, and that paperwork could be your shield. So, what do you do if you're sued? Well, if a lawsuit does hit you, don't panic, but don't ignore it. Open every notice, because the deadlines matter. You usually have a short window period of time to respond. Make sure you do respond. Even if you don't have a lawyer, many courts have self help forms. Just by responding, that can keep you from losing by default. Again, challenge the ownership. Demand that they show proof that they own this debt, proof that they have the original agreement, proof that they have a chain of title that shows the chain of ownership, a bill of sale, a purchase agreement. All of these things make them prove that they bought your specific debt, because a lot of times they've bought a bundle of debt, but it doesn't mean your debt is actually included in that bundle. Can they prove it? Seek support, legal aid, consumer advocates, and hey, yes, communities like my inner circle can give you strategies that most people and most credit repair companies have never heard about. Because here's the truth, it's really not about being perfect with money. Life happens, jobs get lost, unexpected medical bills happen, divorces, repos, life happens, but the system is built for collectors to win by you being silent. So if you don't fight, you lose, period. But when you show up, when you challenge them, well, you'd be surprised at how many of these debt buyers back down because they oftentimes don't have the necessary paperwork. They're just hoping you don't call their bluff. So here's the bottom line. Debt collection lawsuits, again, they're on the rise and they're going to continue being on the rise. And debt buyers and original creditors, whoever is suing, they're counting on you doing nothing, but you don't have to play into their hands. So if you want to learn advanced strategies like how to make them prove ownership, how to use the law to protect yourself, and how to avoid getting blindsided, I invite you to join my inner circle because that really is where I go deeper, step by step. I give you the tools that have been given to me by a consumer law attorney to fight back. So click the link in the description and the comment section of this video to check out my inner circle. Don't wait until you're served. Prepare yourself now. Disclaimer, this is for educational purposes because I am not an attorney, although I do study up under one. Always consult with a licensed attorney for legal matters. And I'll see you in the next video. So I just want to give you a quick tour of the inner circle. This is a private community that I've built to help those of you who need help when it comes to repairing your credit. The truth is you can do this yourself. You don't need to hire a credit repair company. Save that money because you're probably going to need it to do some of the pay for deletes. Pay for deletes are the quickest way to get permanent deletions of some of these accounts. And it's not the only way, but it is one of the ways. So you're going to learn a lot in this inner circle. And I give you access to a lot. Everything that I've used and that I've learned from a consumer law attorney. And I am still a student of a consumer law attorney who sues debt collectors and creditors and the credit bureaus all day. Everything I learned from that attorney, I have poured into the inner circle for you. So I look forward to seeing you on the inside.